Welcome, ghouls, ghosts, and mere mortals, to the Hidden Creek Manor. Now, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I love upcycling old stuff. Whether it's something that we found at a thrift store, or a yard sale, or even one in an auction online, anytime I can save money while I'm working on my haunt, I'm a happy camper. So recently, we were at Goodwill, and we found this little toy treasure chest. All brown, just one color, kind of boring, very obvious that it's a toy, very plastic looking. So my goal is to take this and convert it into a realistic looking old treasure chest that maybe looks like it's been just kind of sitting around for years. It's gonna be part of our Kraken's Cove section of the haunt. So let's get straight to it and give this thing a makeover. All right, so first thing we need to do is, we need to clean this thing up. Get rid of the sticker. Do like sanding as well, just to make sure that the paint sticks to it. So, let's do it. Just, like I said, just light sanding, just a light grit sandpaper. I'm not sure the exact grit, but it's light. So we'll just do this so the paint sticks. Good enough. Now we just gotta wipe it down, get rid of that dust and debris and plus any dirt that was already on there. And this may be a bit overkill, but I don't feel like getting my air compressor out, and this is ready, so I'm just gonna blow it off real quick. Alright, so the first thing that I want to do to this thing is paint the trim. So what I mean by that is all on here, it's supposed to be kind of a gold trim, and even though it's gold trim, or brass or whatever we want to make it, first thing we're going to do is paint it black. The reason we want to paint it black first is we're going to make this thing look old, right? We want it to look like it's old and worn. So we're going to have that black base with kind of a gold coming through. I can already see there's a little bit of an issue with the, I didn't do the best job sanding. That's okay. So let's get this painted. Nice thing about this step too is if you make mistakes, not a huge deal, because once we get to the wood part, we're going to be adding black to that in certain sections, making it look old and dirty anyway. So if you get a little bit of paint in the wrong spot, don't sweat it, just like that. Also, you can just wipe it off with your finger. I got some right here that I'll be a little sloppy with, so no big deal. Just wipe it right off. Like I said, we're going to be adding some black to that round eventually anyway, so it'll all kind of blend together. Plus, how many people are going to be taking a super close look? Most people are going to be seeing this at least from a few feet away. So, unless they're really inspecting it, not a big deal. We make mistakes. Like Bob Ross. There's no mistakes, only happy accidents, right? Now, as you can see, I'm making a lot of accidents. And I just, mentioned the fact that there's no mistakes, only happy accidents. But what you could do, now I'm just not worried about it, but what you could do is you could tape this off with some painter's tape. I thought about doing that, but I just decided
let's just do this. Let's just go straight to it. Got a little impatient, I guess, but yeah, you could use painter's tape to help out and make sure that you don't make some of those mistakes, but once again, I'm not really too worried about it. Not many people are going to get that close to it. You notice those happy little accidents. You can kind of see too, I'm being kind of liberal with this paint. It is got to take 2 coats. I was really hoping it would have gone on a little bit better, but no big deal. Other thing too is if you're concerned about messing up, you could keep a rag handy. That's probably what I should have done too, right? Should have kept a wet rag or something like that, or something I can use to clean this up with. But oh well. So, I've already done something similar to this before I created this YouTube channel. I had a projector that I wanted to hide, and I found one of those like big gray electrical boxes that you have on the outside of your house at another thrift store. So it was gray, so I painted it to look like a pirate chest, and I added some trim and accessories using some plastic pieces, so that kind of gives it the same thing that we see here with the outer parts, the part that we're painting right now. But I didn't record that, but I'll show it to you guys eventually, I'm sure. But it turned out really well, so I'm really hoping that this turns out just as nice. Give it one more look over just to make sure we didn't miss any spots. Everything looks good. So yeah, once again, this is not perfect. Yeah, definitely made some smudges and smears and painted outside the lines. Once again, this first coat, this first step, not a big deal because we're going to be aging this. We're going to be adding another coat of black. We're going to be adding a coat of like gold or bronze. We're going to be painting this brown. We're going to be adding some black to the brown. So yeah, no big deal. And because this first coat of black isn't the best, you can kind of get an idea of what we're going for, what we're going to be going for. So I'm going to dry brush some gold on here, and it's going to definitely be more prominent than that, but it'll kind of give it the effect of aged, old metal. But yeah, first step complete. We're Our first coat of paint complete. Let's give it a few minutes to dry, and we'll come back and put a second coat on.
A few moments later.
All right, so I went ahead and just did the second coat off camera. So the black is ready to go. And now we can start making it look gold. And the way we're going to do this is by applying a dry brush technique. So I have some gold paint here. And I am just going to get a little bit of paint on my brush, not a lot. I'm going to brush off a lot of the excess paint. And then I'm just going to kind of start going over the black with it. And typically when you're dry brushing, I recommend starting off light. So you can always add more paint to it, but you can't take paint away. So just kind of give it a light coat at first, just to see how it looks. And then if you wanted to add more gold, no problem. Now, something else that I always like to point out is that typically where you would see more gold shining through is where it would be touched a lot or corners. So, we want to go a little bit heavier when we're doing a corner, and then we can kind of even it out as we go out towards the sides. That way it does look like it's been a little bit more worn. Keep going with this. Try switching brushes. I'm not sure how I like the way that's turning out. I guess we're going to go with a wider brush now. I also like to, when I'm doing corners like this, just kind of add that gold to it and then blend it in. I'm just going to keep switching back and forth with my brushes here. Also trying to do this so you guys can see it on camera. It's a little bit hard to get the right angle. This buckle or paint around these edges, and then I can just dry brush it out. And just blend it all together. Do get a little bit too heavy in some areas, it's okay. Just try to spread it out as much as you can. rather than make you guys sit here and watch me paint this whole thing, I'm just going to go ahead and pause the filming and then finish this up. And then we'll start it back up once I'm done, and we'll take a look at the results. Alright, so instead of skipping over the rest of this, I did want to give you guys at least, hopefully, a better look at how I'm doing this. So with these handles, I didn't dry brush. I actually have just a little bit of paint on the brush here because I figured the handles would probably be more worn, which means they'd have more gold because they've been handled by oily human hands, shining through. So just kind of doing this a little bit heavier on the gold, typically where you would see or where you would grab the handle, and then just kind of spreading it out on the sides, and that will give it, like I said, more of a worn look, which is kind of odd that the more gold that's shining through, it makes it more worn looking, but that's how it is. And then, yeah, this underside piece, not too concerned with this little piece of, the little pieces of plastic and stuff in here, but I did at least want to kind of just get under here a little bit and then just kind of, I don't know, give it a little bit of paint, but just want to add, and at this point it's kind of like dry brushing a little bit to the inside and outside of the ring. And then for this middle piece, I'm going to go kind of back to dry brushing with a little bit of extra paint on our brush, but you can kind of see where it's, I mean, this is going to be more gold, and I think I do want it to have more gold than black, so I probably will start to get a little bit heavier handed with the gold paint. But yeah, you can kind of see it, hopefully, through the camera, that it's starting to look like an old, worn out handle. And I'm gonna, like I said, go a bit heavier here. And you can go heavier in certain spots than others, and it just kind of adds to the effect that it's old and used. And once again, I know I kind of talked about this a few times already, but when I did that original coat of black, I wasn't too careful, made a lot of mistakes, a lot of smudges, so it's gonna be more noticeable now that we've got this gold in here, but that's okay because we are still going to paint over all of this brown and age it and make it look more realistic. So in case you're watching me do this and thinking you can still see all those black smudges, I know you can, and I have a plan. Might not be the best plan, might not work, but at least we have a plan. Also, it's kind of hard to paint at a certain angle to show the camera what I'm doing, so hopefully it'll turn out okay. Got a little bit of excess paint there. And kind of go around these corners. As you can see, I'm not the best artist. The Lady of the Manor is definitely much better at painting than I am, but I enjoy it. It's something that keeps me occupied. It's a nice little hobby doing stuff like this, and just something for fun. So now that we got that done, add some extra to the corners like we were talking about earlier. So you can kind of see what I was talking about, where it looks just like it's worn on the corner. And we just spread it out. And I'm going to switch to my big brush, just because I find it works a little bit better on these larger areas. would really get enough off the brush, but that's okay because I think I do like more of a gold look anyway. So kind of cover up a lot of that black. Alright, so I'm done with the first coat of, well, mostly done. I think there's still a few spots. But I'm mostly done with this first coat of gold. And now, I'm just gonna let it dry and then decide if I want to add more gold to it. But what I'm also thinking about doing is adding a little bronze as well, just to give it just some extra color. Maybe some texture, or just, I don't know, we'll see. But just to break up some of that gold. But yeah, so far, it's looking pretty good, I think.
More moments later.
Hey guys, change of plans. This video is getting kind of long already, so rather than make you guys watch me do yet another coat of gold paint, I'm just gonna go ahead and pause the recording. I'm gonna do the coat off camera, and then we'll start things back afterwards so you guys can see the results. So, bye for now.
So just to give you guys an example of the difference of one coat of gold to two coats of gold, hopefully you guys can see this. That's with two coats. And if I switch over to here, this side, this is just the one coat of gold with the bronze. So like I said, I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick up on this real great, but hopefully you guys get an idea of what difference the second coat makes. Alright, so this is with two coats of the gold. I think it looks as gold as I want it. So now that we've got the gold done, we're gonna move on to making this plastic wood look more like real wood. So let's get to it. Alright, so now that I'm done with the gold, we're gonna switch gears and focus on this wood. You know, because as you guys can see, it's just a fake plastic. It has this pattern which I'm not too excited about, but you know, oh well. But the thing is, with doing the wood part, I'm not sure if I want to do this with paint or if I want to do it with stain. So I'm going to set this up on the back, and then I'm going to test this out with stain first. I'm going to use a mocha shade of wood finish. And I have an old, cheap chip brush. You can tell it's old. It's, yeah, doesn't have to be anything nice or fancy. Actually, we don't want it to be like that. I'm just going to get just a little tiny bit of stain on the brush. And then just go over this, kind of in streaks like that. And then just blend it. So guys, I'm not sure what happened. It just stopped filming. But I'm not out of battery, I'm not out of space. But anyway, so you didn't get to see me finish this. But what I was gonna say is I'm gonna let this dry and see how I like it, and then decide if I want to continue with stain for the rest of this project, or if I want to switch over to using paint to give it that realistic wood grain look. So we'll be back in a little bit as soon as the stain dries. Alright, so this is with the stain, and it didn't quite do what I wanted it to do. I really wanted it to have like a wood green look, and it just looks like it's just brown. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. I mean, it still could pass, but still not the desired outcome. So what I'm thinking about doing, and I just tested, you might be able to see here, there's a line, but what I'd really like to do is make this look like wood panels. So I think I'm gonna measure out a few inches, and then I'm gonna take my hot knife and just kind of do a line in there every few inches to make it look like planks of wood that were put together. So yeah, let's get straight to it. Alright. Well, I'm glad I did this on the back to test this with, because I wasn't too happy about that. But also, the stain's not 100% dry, so I might just do it on the front first. And what I'll do is just measure this wood, and it's 4 inches in the wood section, so I don't know, I guess I'll just do 2 inches. Make a mark on that side. Mark on that side. Just do a line in between. But hopefully that doesn't come back to haunt me in the end. Okay. I've got 2 inches on either side. Okay. So now, I'm gonna plug my hot knife in. And we'll give it a moment to warm up. And then we'll just do right along that line that we just made. Hard part is we want to kind of stick to the line, but at the same time, we don't want to mess up what we've already done with that gold. I might just do kind of a starter on each side. Just slowly go along this line. Just so I can get the initial pass and have kind of that little trench to work with. No, it's not perfect, but it'll kind of add to the effect too, with it being just not quite perfect. I want it to look like old, worn wood. Maybe it's gotten wet and warped a little bit over the years, so I get in here and create this trench. You want to do this in a well-ventilated area, by the way. If you have to do it indoors, which I do not recommend. I mean, I'm in a building, but I've got a big door open. But anyway, if you have to do this indoors, then make sure that you're wearing some type of protection, some mask or ventilator if you have one. Okay. So now, I just want to test it first. I'm not going to go all in yet on the rest of it. So now that we've done that, set my hot knife to the side so we can pull down. Gotta go ahead and sand around where we did that. Gotta get some heavier duty sanding going on. Doesn't seem to be doing the job. Well, you know, one of the reasons I started this channel was to help people. You know, I've watched a lot of YouTube tutorials over the years, and I've learned a lot from quite a few YouTubers that are out there doing different types of props. But one thing I will never claim to be as an expert, and you can probably see that right now because this is not turning out how I wanted it to. But that's why you guys are here, right? You guys are here to see the successes and the failures. Let me try a little bit heavier grit sandpaper, see if that works. now I'm going to step away. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to come back with a resolution.
2 hours later.
All right. So, I've said it multiple times in this video. There are no mistakes, only happy accidents, and I think I figured out a solution. So, initially, when we first got started, I just barely sanded it. Just enough to make the paint stick. And even then, I don't think I sanded it enough, to be honest. But, then when I decided, all right, I'm going to make these, and we had that issue, as I was trying to sand it off camera, it hit me that this plastic is, well, as I was making more mistakes, this plastic is a lot like the PVC that I've used in the past to make the pirate ship sails. And we'll do another video on that eventually. But part of that process is to scrape the PVC with a rasp to get the stained places to essentially soak into, to make it look like real wood. So I started thinking, well, if I'm already scuffing it up anyway, let's do that. Let's make this just scuffed up and add a bunch of scratches and divots in here and trenches for it to soak into. So hopefully once I stain it, this line won't be so terrible. And even if it is there, it won't look bad. So I'll show you guys what I've been doing off camera. Is I've got two different, I guess basically types of rasps, but I've been using this one the most. And you just kind of make lines in the plastic. You kind of scratch. You actually want to scratch it. Now, the one problem I'm having though with this, as you can see like that one, just as an example, this is not perfectly smooth for me to go over. These lines move around, so actually that means the lines that I make then also move around. But yeah, basically just been going in here, making these lines, different sizes and lengths to scuff it up, hopefully, to give it more of a wood look and feel. Now, even though I am doing different sizes and shapes and everything, I am still trying to go east to west, not necessarily north and south. I want to give it that effect of wood grain, even though we get some going crazy like that. And then, not only are we scuffing it up, which getting to these all the way to the edge can be a bit tricky, but especially if you don't want to mess up what you've already done. But really, once we've gone through this, we scuffed it up a bunch, added all the lines that we want to add. Then we'll go back, with some sandpaper, some heavier grit sandpaper this time than we used previously. And we'll scuff it up some more with the sandpaper. So let's do that. So put some sandpaper here that we use. And not only are we scuffing up the plastic, but we're also getting rid of a lot of these little pieces left behind by the rasp. And see, one of the things, cutting corners usually comes back to bite you. And this is one of those examples where I was like, I'll just do a light sanding and everything's gonna be fine. I didn't prime this or anything. And now that we're further into the project, here we are sanding. But you know what? Hopefully, we'll be pleased with the outcome once we stain it. So, at least on this front piece, we've got everything cleaned up. So now, let's try the stain again. Just like on the back, let's get just a little bit of stain. I've got a little bit too much. And just east to west. Go across. And to start blending it together. Actually, you know what? Let's be safe about this. Alright. Now, I don't feel as worried cutting into these corners. Going all the way, because you really want to try to go all the way across with your brush strokes. I can already tell I like this better than when I set this up previously on the back. Just because there is more texture now, because of those lines. And now, like I said as well, I got a little bit too much on my brush, so let's clean some of this up. Just lightly going across this with the towel or the rag. Just removing that excess. Yes, I like that. That looks a lot better. Now, I mean, you can still see those plastic lines that they put into it, but hopefully, like I said before, now that I've got these little marks from the rasp and the sandpaper, it should soak into that, hopefully more than the rest of it, and give it a better look. So, one more time, let's let the stain dry, come back and check on it. If we like it, we're going to continue with the stain. I'm pretty sure that's the route we're going to take at this point, because that is turning out how I wanted it. So see, happy accidents sometimes lead to better results. So let's let it dry and see what happens. So, don't cut corners, guys. I was trying to get this video done as fast as I could, and I just didn't do all the steps that I normally would. Just for example, I didn't do the best job sanding this. I already talked about that. And not only did I not do the best job sanding this, but I also didn't prime it. I thought I could get away with just doing a light sanding and paint over this, and I was terribly wrong. So, when I taped this off, I even kind of patted it against my pants to make sure that I was taking a little bit of the stickiness off, but that didn't work. As you guys can see, it peeled the tape right off. So, the wood looks good. That's a plus. I like the way that turned out. I'm gonna have to redo a lot of this. I'm not happy about it. You guys won't have to watch me do that. I'll do that off camera. But let's get back to the wood. Alright, so I'm probably not gonna redo the back. I'm just gonna leave it because no one's really gonna see the back. And if they do, it looks it's enough to, it's passable, I guess we could say. Front definitely looks a lot better. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. So we're gonna do this top piece, these side pieces, and these side pieces over here. So let's get to it. I'm not going to tape this off again for obvious reasons. I learned my lesson the last time, so it is what it is, you know? It's a good lesson to learn. Don't cut corners, do it right, and you won't have to do things over again like I'm gonna have to do. same thing as before. Just gonna lightly rub across this just to give it some variation. So, I mean, it's turning out pretty well. I mean, that's what it's going to look like when it's dry, pretty much. It's still a little bit wet, but that's okay. So it is turning out well. It just turned out to be not as easy of a job as I thought it would be. But we'll continue on and finish up the rest of this off camera.
One eternity later.
All right, guys. So off camera, I fixed the issue where we had the paint that peeled from where we put the tape on it previously. I went ahead and finished up the stain. So now that it's complete, finally, let's take a look at the final results. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and hopefully some of you are inspired to go to your local thrift store and find a treasure of your own that you can upcycle and add to your haunts. If you do, we'd love to see them. Put them in the comments below, send us an email. We could even share them on the channel for others to see. But for now, happy haunting, and we'll see you in the next one.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. As a reward for sticking around, you may now watch one of these two videos. The choice is yours, but choose wisely.